Welcome back, everyone. Here we are at the live show podcast, and here we are shooting our episode number 4. And specifically, we have a special guest with us today. Robert, you would like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's okay.
Mhm.
My name is Robert. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I'm a coach, and I've been working with some of the best. I come and represent the Being movement. There's a coach named Steve Hardison. He's the ultimate coach, and I have been learning from his school of thought for some time. Yeah, the power of commitment is something that has been a big force in my life, and it's something that I love to share. So that's, here I am.
All right. Thank you so much for the brief intro. And it's been, I guess, a few years we are in touch. It's really always pleasure to be with you. And like Robert is kind of those person basically is always high and enthusiastic and always I would say to simply just yes to life. Uh, Always down to earth and very kind. So I'm really I feel privileged to be to be able to talk to you in my show.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to speak to your
All
guests,
right.
to be on your show. It's an awesome privilege as well.
Yeah, and technically you are the officially, so-called first guest of the show.
Nice.
So
I'm
somehow,
glad
I
to
mean,
have that title. No problem.
yeah. So we will directly get into the topic. You mentioned about the power of commitment in your introduction, and I'm really curious to know about more about it because it's a very catchy term, I would say. I I hear this term on and off these days, so I would definitely love to know about your views on this.
Yeah, yeah. In my I experiment as well, but in my experience, the power of commitment has been so profound in everything cool that has happened in my life. I have a lot of stories that I can share, and it's not for the purpose of bragging, but it's more for the purpose of driving home the point of life can look like there is no possibility, or it can look like things are impossible. But I strongly feel that it's not about whether things are possible or impossible. It's more about how committed we are as humans to what it is that we want to create and our willingness to take the steps that are involved to make that happen. And so the power of commitment for me has, the moment I've committed to things, it's like the world opens up. And I was mentioning this book before. This is called The Ultimate Coach. So it's what it covers is it's called the Book of Being. It's about who are you being. It's in this school of thought, it really it has this one thing where it's like if you commit to something, it's like you create a black hole. You create a black hole where everything starts to travel to you. And I've
Oh,
experienced this in so many different areas in my life. Yeah, it's profound. It's really profound stuff. And I think about, because I mentioned I'm a coach, so I've spoken with quite a few people about their situations, their life, what do they want to create. And I've noticed a lot of parallel between, beautiful things being happen and commitment to making them happen. So yeah, if there's, I'm happy to go back and forth, or I'm happy to, just spew out whatever comes. But if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer, or if you want me to just keep going, I'm happy to do that too.
oh yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, that's definitely it's a nice intro, I would say. For me, also like I heard about this term, I googled for a little bit, but listening from you, like the real life experience, I think it's really always more sound like more real than listening to someone or reading some blogs. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I read about some blogs about it, and I had like every other reader, I have some question regarding it. So because I know few people mention it as a tool, few people mention it as a it's a process, and so I would like to know about like what are the importance of incorporating this particular method. I'm calling it method. probably I'm wrong. So how it is, playing a vital role in any individual's life, to be precisely for the youngsters, those who are early their 20s or maybe in their mid 20s, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I'll start with this story and then we can go from there. Like, I'll tell you about, COVID happened. It was 2020 and the whole world locked down, as everyone
Yeah,
knows. And, there was
yeah.
this desire in me to really, yeah, I don't know. There was this big desire that I wanted to do coaching. And at the time, I
Okay.
was really scared. I was working, yeah, I was doing coaching for 2 years from 2018 to 2020, but I was so scared to reach out to people and to talk to people and to support people, because really what it is you're serving people. And I was so scared of that. I was so scared of the fear of rejection that I coached one person for 2 years, and I didn't make a single dollar. I was terrified of asking other people that I could, if I could support them, even like, because coaching, of course, it's a profession, but there was also like the fear of even asking to support people for free, even just saying, hey, can I give you a free session? There was fear around that.
Yeah.
And
People
yeah,
always
and
look like skeptical, right? If something coming free of cost.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the fear was within myself, and so 2020 hit and COVID hit, and then I just went on this really big stint of, okay, I'm going to focus on myself. And so I was doing anywhere from like 2 to 6 hours of yoga every single day. I was meditating every day, focusing super hard on myself, always learning, always taking classes, always in school, regarding coaching and speaking, and just about my own inner world, personal development, this sort of thing. And there was a certain tipping point where I really started to just ask for what I wanted. And it made me realize that, if I ask for what I want, and that's a form of commitments, just, committing to ask for what you want, even if you're scared, right? There's a quote that I really like. It's, fear is wetting your pants, and courage is doing what you want in wet pants. So
Wow, it's
it's
really
not,
powerful.
yeah, it's not that you need to not be scared. You can be scared and you can still do stuff.
Okay.
You were saying it's
Yeah,
powerful. So it, like, essentially, sorry, because the Wi-Fi cut out a little bit, so I wasn't sure where we were there.
it's no
You know,
problem. Yeah.
so the profound thing about that is, like, I'll get to the point of the story, is like, when I started asking for what I wanted, eventually I said, okay, I'm going to start a group called Fearless, and I'm going to invite a bunch of people, and I'm going to see what happens. And I ended up getting 6 people to join my Fearless program. And the Fearless program was based off of a book that a coach wrote, another coach. He's a multi-million-dollar speaker. He's super famous. He goes and he's a world's best-selling author. He's created, over 40 books in different languages, all these things. He's like, no business talking to me at that time, like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old who has no following on social media, hasn't, created some big cool thing, didn't have a, podcast with a big following, nothing. Like, there's no reason this guy would have been there. But I
I can
asked for
really
it.
resonate with
I
you
took
where you're
it.
coming from.
Yeah, like taking a chance on myself was the thing I was willing to do. And then that guy ended up, like, literally jumping on a call with me. He came to my program. He was
Right,
coaching my clients at the time during the group. And, like, just like this cool thing was created just from the sheer commitment of, hey, I'm going to
right,
take that step for myself. And that's what I mean when I say the power of commitment, because if I wasn't committed and I didn't take that chance on myself, I would have never had that experience of having this person who, opened a huge door for me. It would have never happened had I not committed to, okay, I'm going to commit to at least, shooting my shot and seeing what happens. And then it got created. I think when people say that they don't, I can't do this because of this situation, or, oh, I can't do that because of that, there's just, like, a lot of the times there's excuses, not in like a judgmental way of them, of like, oh, you're telling your excuses, but it's no, it's like, the simple fact is, a lot of the time it's excuses that we could, as humans, simply just completely jump over. So that's a big thing about commitment.
yeah. I mean, you brought up really a nice point, because you pretty much, like, if I put into simply what I understood, you are just pretty much connecting those dots, and that the Fearless program you are running right now, it's basically helping you to, become your version, which you have been always looking for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned something about uh, the finding the easy way out, and then specifically when people find all these kinds of excuses, self-pity.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you like to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about it, because I'm 100% sure that you probably also felt similar thing, because you right now you're talking about it, so I'm 100% sure you went through that path. So I definitely would like to know
Yeah.
about your
Yeah.
first-hand experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, there's layers to it. There's lots of layers to it, and I feel it's a never-ending journey of moving beyond, ideas of limitations and what we can't do as humans, or what I can't do. I'll speak for myself. I'll say so what I've noticed is it's like there's all these possibilities around, and all these possibilities are accessible if we're willing to really put the 100%. And I noticed that a lot of the times with people that I speak to and with myself, when I'm not in the experience of having created what I wanted to experience or want to experience, is because I could be giving 99%. That's the like really bizarre thing. It's like I could
Yeah.
be giving 99%, but that's not enough. Like it needs
Yes.
to be 100%. So the thing about excuses, and I find that, yeah, excuses are just like, they're opportunities to stay where I am if I use them. And another thing is, if I really create what it is that I want, then these excuses don't really have a space to, like they're not, they're just occupying space at that point. Like it's not, if I really want something, then the excuses kind of have to go. It needs to be a direct connection from me to that thing. I need to like spread the way from those excuses and kind of like shoo them away and really focus on what it is that I want. And then when that happens, those things get created, and they get created sometimes miraculously and spontaneously.
Yeah, I mean, just, getting out of our comfort zone and giving our 100%, no matter what it takes, and without even, looking and thinking for the outcomes and the consequences. We're just being committed, like fully 100% involved, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
there
Yeah,
is
no, the
a lag
opportunities.
maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's no, for sure. It's 100%. That's the case. I feel, in my experience, like I said, with working with a lot of people, I've noticed that that's the biggest thing. I've noticed that everyone has an ambitious dream that they want to create. Everyone has things that they want to experience in this life, but it's definitely, there needs to be the urgency to really create it and to move those mountains. And it's oftentimes it's just the commitment piece. It's like normally what you thought was in the way, or what was there, the obstacle kind of, it becomes so insignificant once the
Mm-hmm.
commitment is made, that it's like a paradox. It's like until you make the commitment, you think that's the thing stopping you, and then you make the commitment and you realize that it was the smallest, most insignificant little shadow that you could have
Mm,
possibly, it just got magnified. It became a really big thing, and it was so
right.
scary. But as soon as you commit to it, it just starts to shrink. It gets small, 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 and then it's easy at that point.
Wow, that's real. I mean, real wisdom. So, I mean, from what I understood by now, I think you are using this power of commitment as a tool, maybe in your life. If this is the case, what would be your suggestion? Like, if someone is listening to you, maybe a teenage, maybe in their college, or I don't know, whatever. So, what would be your best advice for them if also someone is interested to, get into this and want to use it as a tool?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, well, like I feel it's definitely, first of all, I would read this book. I would definitely read this book. It's super
Okay.
profound.
Is
The
ultimate
school of
coach?
thought, the ultimate coach. Yeah, it's not even about coaching. It's this guy who wrote the
Okay.
book. He didn't even write the book. Someone wrote a book about him, but
Okay.
essentially it's all about, yeah, it's all about his life story. But you could read the book about you. Like, so at the back of the book it says, "Dear potential reader, as you may have noticed, there's no testimonials on the back of this book imploring you to read it. I vetoed that. The only testimonial I am interested in is the one you will have from reading and experiencing this book. please do not read this book about me. Read this book about you. Read it about being. As you read, ask yourself, who would I need to be a more loving person? Who would I need to be a more effective parent? Who would I need to create a level of confidence that is remarkable? Who would I need to be at peace with who I am? Who would I need to be fully in love with myself and my life? And who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I could live? I promise you that if you read this book with that intention of expanding your state of being, you will do exactly that. Your experience will be remarkable. Who are you being is everything. So it's,
Wow, those
that,
last lines were powerful.
yeah. And this is, this is why I keep bringing this up, because I would recommend, anyone, whether it's, a student or someone older or any stage of your life, a lot of it is about, who you're being and how you're showing up and how you're committing to show up in this world. And a lot of things change just from simply that. Like, if we go back to my experience that I shared, and this is applicable for anyone, you could take this from school, you could take this in a marriage, or you could take this anywhere. Like, I was showing up as, I can't do this, it's too hard. And
Yeah,
then something switched and I said, okay, I'm creating this no matter what. I'm making this happen. Like,
it's
who the
a
very
it's a
quality
shift.
of,
It's a shift in the mindset, I guess, right?
yeah, but it's also, it's the mindset is like, it comes out of that. It's more like, I completely shifted the type of person I was and how I was showing up to my life, and then life started to respond differently. You want this best-selling author who has millions of followers and he's a well sought out speaker, charges like a lot of money for to come speak, to come to your program for free. Great, cool, awesome. Like, these things, I'm not saying this to brag, I'm really saying this to drive the point home of, like, if you change who you're being, if you change how you're showing up, then these things just come to you, and like the mindset will come to you, all those things. But you have to be different than how you were. You have to literally shift who you're being if you want to create something different in your life. And that's where the
Oh,
commitment is. It's the commitment to like completely switch things up and just be different in any moment.
right, right. It's just, I mean, changing that thinking paradigm and coming out of the comfort zone, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Shattering it completely.
Completely shattering, yeah. Okay, I mean, you also touched about a little bit in your previous answer that you have been doing lately 2 to 6 hours a day yoga. Can you tell our audience a little bit about the what exactly yoga you are doing? Because I know yoga is the most corrupted word in the world right now. So I don't know what kind of yoga you are doing. So I'm really curious to know. Even I think the other fellow listeners, they also want to know about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'm not doing 2 to 6 hours anymore. I was doing that during COVID as there was a lot of time off, and it's not that it's impossible. It's just I have I have certain set of priorities that that I'm committed to taking care of at this point. But I'm doing about an hour a day at the moment,
Okay.
and yeah, it's just, I mean, it resets me. It's called Isha Yoga. It's pretty profound. It's there's all sorts of different practices. I found that for me, it's just, I could my mood can be completely off. I could be, you know, looking at all the reasons why life is terrible and why things suck and all these things. But then, like, I do my practice and it's almost like something fundamental shifts in my system where I start to there's this blissful feeling that comes, and then from that blissful feeling there's also this shift in how I'm experiencing the rest of the world around me. And it's like it's so much easier to just get unstuck from negative thinking or from negative experiences. It's just, I become less stuck to them, and I be more free. And it's just like, yeah, it's a really interesting thing. It's hard to really explain in words too, because it's illogical. I
Experiential.
sit on the mat. Yeah, I sit on the mat and then I start to feel great. And then and then I keep it as like an anchor for me. It anchors me in who I am, and what my true experience is, which is experiencing the beauty of life. So
Wow. That's probably
yeah,
the best definition I have heard. I sit on the mat and it definitely works as a like anchor. And something is profoundly happening within yourself and you're feeling blissful. I mean,
yeah,
this is not the definition I think is popular these days about the yoga. I think you would agree with that.
yeah. Yeah, I find it like the way I could describe it is it's like a sneak attack. It's just you sit on the mat and all of a sudden it's just very sneakily this bliss starts to develop inside of you, and then things become great, things become wonderful. So
Wow.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I would also like to know a little bit about your, I mean, if you are comfortable, because you are on your entrepreneurial journey now, and I am really basically talking to the young college students, maybe people are there, their mid 20s. So just to inspire them in some way, if you are comfortable to share your day-to-day activities, your daily routine with them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's a really profound quote that I heard specifically, if we look at entrepreneurship, I feel this is the most profound. If I could give one quote that would be the only thing I could tell people, it's that your calendar is your canvas. And what that means is it's like a work of art. Like your calendar, what you're doing in your day is the thing that creates what you want. And I'll give an example. When I started my coaching practice, I was sort of, I was doing the yoga and I was doing 2 to 6 hours of yoga, and it was great. It helped me in so many ways because it really helped me to, gain stability in my mind, to gain stability in my emotions, all these things. Great. Nothing against that. But in terms of really creating something tangibly, there was no strategy. I was just, it's like I had, it's like I was trying to, there's a target in front of me and I was just throwing like tons and tons of darts at it, but I didn't like, there was no aim. I just like, I took a bowl of darts and just threw it at the wall, and sometimes it would hit and sometimes it wouldn't. And I didn't know why. And what I've realized since I've been exploring this again is that the calendar is your canvas quote. It's like, if you look at your calendar, you can see what it is exactly that you're doing. And then you can track what you did that created the result that you wanted to create, and then you can backtrack because success leaves clues. So you backtrack and you look at it and you see, okay, this specific activity created this result. So if that specific activity created that result, I'm just going to do a bunch of that activity. And that's why the calendar is
Okay.
your canvas. I realized for me, because like let's say with coaching, what I've been doing is I've been focused on studying from people who
Hmm.
have traversed the path before me, and then it's
Hmm.
connecting with people. So for me, that's what I've been spending a lot more of my time with, just connecting with people who, just connecting for the sake of the connecting. And then if there's people that I could serve, then, I offer to serve them. But, you know, that's like the, business element of it. But there's, the daily yoga. I wake up, I'll do my yoga, and then, yeah, and then just like studying from mentors, studying for people who've walked the path before me, and then implementing it. It's, you don't always have to do everything by yourself. I think that's the cool thing about like life and entrepreneurship, and not even necessarily limited to just entrepreneurship, but there's always been a person who's walked the path before you.
Right.
So
We don't have to reinvent the wheel, not necessarily.
yeah, 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 that's a profound thing. It's, you don't have to do that. You can accept help and make it a lot easier on yourself, and just, listen to what people are saying and apply it, and then watch how it works the same way for you, because the principles are the same. So
Yeah. I think having that kind of broad-minded thought, and then listening to and having those learning mindsets definitely helps.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, Robert, you said something about that it was really hard for you initially coming out of the comfort zone. Most of the time, I think you will agree with that I heard, I also read the book about, it's a Irish entrepreneur. He wrote a, it's a basically autobiography, and he said something like that most of the entrepreneur, most of the, like, business ideas, they fail within this the time frame of from first beginning of the 6 months to the 2.5 years or maximum 3 years. In this time zone, most of the businesses die, even though they have the potential. But the self-limiting beliefs they have, sometimes they get crippled with these self-sabotaging thoughts and something like that. So uh, but I think you came across that thing. So the reason I'm asking that question, because probably you also faced some kind of situation. So yeah, there would be also great learning from you, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, that was definitely a big thing. I remember, even if we took the example of yoga, when I was doing the yoga, I remember sitting there during COVID time, and there was people who, they flew to India to be in the, in the ashram with the school that
Mm-hmm.
teaches the yoga. And I remember just, I remember just sitting there in jealousy and thinking, like, why am I, why are these people so lucky, and why am I here at home and sitting in, and then, like, even, I saw some people who were doing
Mm-hmm.
so little yoga, but they were so joyful. I was doing so much yoga and not joyful. And then I was like, why do I need to? Well, it's not that I wasn't joyful. It was more I needed that much to, like, start to feel the effects. And I was like, what the hell is this? Why do I have to do so much yoga to 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 feel cool? And then these people are just, doing so little, and it
Super
really,
charged,
like,
right?
yeah, it was crazy. And then I just decided to accept my path. I think that was the biggest distinguishing factor, was when I just said, okay, well, I made certain choices in my life where maybe I created this experience for myself. I was really anxious at the time, and I said, maybe I created this experience for myself. So, it's about forgiving myself, accepting accepting that, okay, this is the situation that I put myself in. I find myself here, and, once I've done that, then that gives me the ability to accept what I need to do to create the shift that I want. And then so then I just started doing it. I said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to look at other people and what they're doing. I'm going to do what's needed for me. And then I started doing that, and then, like, things started happening really fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what I wanted started to just be created.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, sometimes we get, really, so much attached to those thoughts and self-limiting beliefs. Basically, the way you have mentioned about the yoga, people are flying to India, and you aren't able to because of the COVID lockdown thing. So yeah, I mean, this is normal with every single individual, right? And many of us probably going through this daily. So do you recommend yoga, because you are a businessman, you are an entrepreneur, you are coaching people. I mean, you are doing yoga, so this is something, I would say unique thing probably about your case. So I hardly I hardly heard any people, especially the business coach or someone is, they never talk about yoga. But I think you really emphasized on it. So what is your suggestion
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would recommend it for anyone. I think where I went with it at the beginning was I pretty much went full on, just full on spiritual. So fly to India, live there for 3 months with monks, and then, like, I got so caught up in that world, which is great. I mean, it's great in its own sense, but I realized that there needed to be a balance between two.
Hmm.
So what I found is a nice balance for me was, like, not going full on this way or full on that way, like not going full on, okay, I'm just going to focus on money, and not going full on, I just have to focus on yoga. It was like bringing the two worlds together of, like, okay, there's a physical reality where you have to take care of certain things, and then there's also there's the spiritual reality of, okay, I need to take care of my inner world too. And then once I started to bring those two together, I started to bring, like, a coherence between the two, then it was really beautiful to see how,
It became a
um
union, yoga.
yeah, exactly. Hence the left and right coming together. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, like, having some sort of practice, even if it's like 15 minutes. There's the practice called Isha Kriya, or even the fundamental program called Inner Engineering that the Isha Foundation offers, where they teach the practice Shambhavi Mahamudra. That practice is, like, so profound. It's like 45 minutes of your day, let's say, even probably even less, like 35, 37 minutes around there. Like, even just that alone, it's like you don't have to go nuts. Like, you don't have to do 3 hours of yoga. You don't have to do 6 hours of yoga. It's like, just having that and doing it
Hmm.
every day, and having it as, like, a fundamental support and anchor for you while working
Right.
on the other parts of your life. It's like those two together is great. It works magically.
Wow, that is really a very, very significant thing you have mentioned. I want to change the gear a little bit about the
Yeah.
topic we are discussing. I think many people in today's world, if I talk about India, right now I'm in India. So most of the people, majority of the people, they are really, job oriented kind of mindset. People, those who are in their college, they're maybe coming out from after their graduation, and they're, India is the home of bachelors and masters. After bachelor, they will do masters, and they will keep going on and looking for jobs, government jobs, and other competitive exams. So, I mean, what is your best advice would be for the youth who is, let's for say, someone is listening to you, maybe he is about to, passing out his from his graduation, maybe undergrad or something like that. Should anyone can take a chance on their entrepreneurial journey, or like, because family usually in India, you will not get support kind of stuff from them initially, but it's changing right now, but it's not that much big way. So what would be your best advice? Should, like, any individual take chance if they feel like they can make some difference in the world?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's a really great question because I feel there's a lot of really bad advice about this in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say so. I'll tell you about myself, what I did, and then I'll share. For me, I just decided to quit my job, and I
Right.
went full on for it. That I mean, it was beautiful for some time, but it wasn't necessarily the right experience. Like, not to say that it's not the right experience, but it wasn't necessarily the most seamless way I could have done it. And I realized through experience that, like, yeah, there needs to be, like, if someone takes a chance on themselves like that, it depends it depends on factors. Like, it depends on, like, do you have like a bunch of money saved up, or do you know like, you have to see. It's like, if you were to make a decision and just stop everything that you're doing and just jump full into it, would you still be able to maintain what's around you? Would you still be able to maintain just
And your
life, like
bills and
just
everything,
living,
right?
like, all the things? Yeah, exactly. Just the basic stuff. And a lot of there's a lot of people, especially in the coaching world. There's a lot of people that'll just say, yeah, just take a chance on yourself. Just quit your 9 to 5 and start a business. But, like, a business isn't as easy as it looks to create. It's not just like magic and fairy tales and rainbows that you're gonna just figure it out. Like, it's a lot of
Right.
work. It's a lot of extra
Right.
work, and it's
Absolutely,
beautiful.
100%.
It's
I agree.
beautiful in its own way. Yeah. And I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people just, like, advocate to, like, just jump into it, but that's not always the best thing for everyone. Maybe if someone, they have sufficient money saved up and they're comfortable and they have, they can buy themselves the time to work on it and not worry about other things, then it's great. But if you're not in the position to do that, then I would say it's better to do it part-time until you've built it up in a certain way, and then slowly reduce your hours there and start to increase here, and until the point where the scale tips, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do this full time. But it's not right or wrong. It just depends on where you are, your situation. You could be part-time, you could be full-time, it could be like a hobby. It's there's no right or wrong in the situation.
Right, makes sense. I think it's totally based on the situation people are in, right? They have to take the call for
Yeah.
themselves. But yeah, you pretty much outlined really genuinely, I would say. Yeah, thanks for doing that, because most of the people, they, as you mentioned in the beginning, it's really, I mean, it's a chaos, I would say. The kind of, the things people are making hypothetically, and people also get attracted. It's called shiny object syndrome. Like, I will also become a full-time entrepreneur within 6 months, 1 year, and they take the call, and then they had to give up after some time because the wins.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, well, I just want to say, like, that's another point, because think about, if you look at a lot of the places where you'll see it, you'll be, watching a YouTube video and you're listening to your song that you love, and then all of a sudden an ad comes on. And it's like, hey, you, if you didn't quit your 9 to 5 in 2024, you're stupid. And then, like, it just, and it has like a course that it's selling you, right? And it's like, okay, well,
Right.
buy my course, and then you're gonna be an entrepreneur in 90 days, and you're gonna make $1 million in 90 days. And people go for these types of things, and then it's not to say that nobody can teach you how to be an entrepreneur. There's many great courses and many great leaders out there that will genuinely lead you, but there's a lot of people that are interested in selling you this vision that just quite frankly may not be true. Maybe
Right.
there's people instances where people have created that in 90 days, or they've created amazing situations like that, but it's not to say that everybody's going to do that. That's a crazy claim.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is 100% true. I mean, every individual is different, and I mean, you can't take. People are doing these things, walking around and scamming as well. A lot of people are getting exposed. But here's the thing: technology comes with both negative and positive side as well. So we have to do our due diligence and then take the call. Yeah. Thanks for
Right.
drawing that line out. Uh,
Yeah.
the final question I have. Again, we'll go back to the previous, the initial topic we're discussing about the power of commitment, or getting involved into it. Do you see any tangible benefits of it? I mean, you have already mentioned about those things, and now we know, like, being consistent or being disciplined with yourself and coming out of the zone, it's going to bring more opportunities, or you have more possibility in terms of achieving, materialistically. But do you see, or do you have any suggestion or list of benefits that people can tangibly can see that, okay, if I do this, I'm gonna get this, you know something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's just, if we're speaking on the topic of commitment, it's just, making that commitment, and yeah, really getting behind yourself, like supporting yourself.
Right.
And when I say supporting yourself, it's like when I say get behind yourself, it's like backing yourself up, like having your own back, that like this is where I'm going. And you'll notice that, like, it's the thing that's instantly created is sometimes, sometimes there's opportunities that were right in front of you that will just pop up, or sometimes the opportunity, maybe you would have walked through that situation that's coming up and you would have completely missed the opportunity if you didn't approach it from that way. So the immediate thing that you'll experience is you'll start to notice that things will start to work for you. And I'll give an example. There's an event in Birmingham that I'm going to this weekend. It's called the Ultimate Experience. It comes from this school of thought from this book I was mentioning, The Ultimate
Okay.
Coach.
Okay.
And I didn't think that I was going to go to this event. I actually just didn't make the decision at all, because it's, yeah, there's just, like, I'm getting married in 3 months. I have my business, and I'm just focusing on all these things. And then I said, you know what, I just had a conversation with someone, and it was really profound, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to go. And then I decided to book it, and then people from the event, like, all of a sudden, I was referred to speak to one guy, and then I spoke to this
Mhm.
guy, and then I connected with another guy who's like going to stay with me, and we're going to rent an Airbnb. And then another guy jumped in, and he's also a coach who's been in the game for a long time. And
Mhm.
and then we just, like, even right before this call, we were on a call together to plan everything, and then we're getting excited about what we want to experience and what we want to give to the program slash experience that we're going through. And it's like all these cool things were created. And then, like, someone is offering, hey, I have a
Snowball
friend who could
effect,
probably
right?
give you a ride from the airports to your place. Like, everything just starts happening for you because you made the decision and you made the commitment.
Right.
So it's really beautiful to see how, yeah, the universe really responds to your commitment. So it's, yeah, there's no need for expectation. It's just going with it, like just backing yourself up and then being surprised by what the universe gives you. You can never predict it.
Yeah, it's like listening to our intuition, and like you mentioned, the opportunities sometimes they come and knock our door. It's up to us. We're the one who is going to take the call or not, because there will be
Yeah.
always uncertainty, right? I mean, we can't be 100% sure whether it's going to hit or miss, but yeah, eventually you have to take the call if you want to make if you want to make that path.
Yeah, it's up to us. It's up to us to take those steps. So that's for sure. That's a hundred
All right.
percent the way of commitment.
All right, it was really nice to talking to you, Robert. It's been a really while, and it's like I wish you all the best and wish you happy married life in advance. And it's really
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
and we will try to get in touch, and maybe in near term, and we'd love to know about your venture and your achievements and some more new goals probably, and more advice for our new listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me as a guest. I'm honored to be the first guest, and definitely we'll have to loop back around somewhere in the near future.
With my all due pleasure. Namaskaram.